What even is slow living? I think in some ways it's easiest to understand slow living through the lens of what it's not. It's not TikTok, it's not fast food, it's not Sheryl Sandberg, it's not fast fashion hauls from Shein, it's definitely not productivity or hustle culture. If you're new here, hi, my name is Helen. I live in the not slow living city of Toronto in Canada. The origin of slow living, or at least the origin story of slow living, is that it is derived from the slow food movement, which is a movement that originates in Italy. So the slow food movement came about, and if you've seen any other videos about slow living, you'll know this already, but came about because they were going to put a McDonald's near the Piazza di Spagna, which is the Spanish Steps. The Italians were not having it. Long story short, the slow food movement was born, which is very much a movement about old-fashioned cooking that is not rushed, and anti-fast food, basically. I mean, there's more to it than that, but that's the gist of it. So this whole slow plus, you name it, slow food, slow living, is pretty self-explanatory. The word slow really does kind of sum it up. It's also open to interpretation. What constitutes slow living to one person may not constitute slow living to another person. Just making a little yogurt and granola for my dessert. So slow living, there's slow travel, there's slow food, there's slow lots of different things. How do you determine it? I think you know it when you're living it, and you definitely know it when you're not living it. So that is one of the dark sides of slow living, is that I found that when I get used to a slower pace, a lot of birds, then ramping up again is very difficult. So that is actually one of the hard parts of slow living. For instance, I'm in the middle of a very hectic week, and I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to make a video this week, but I decided to pop on. Just the sheer number of things I have to do, because they're about triple what I normally have to do, I'm experiencing it as stressful. Whereas when I did work in a more office, corporate type environment where I was constantly just doing new things, meeting new people, had a ton of meetings and appointments every single day, it didn't cost me a thought back then. But now, when you slow down, you can find it hard to ramp up again. And sometimes you need to. No one ever tells you that. No one ever talks about that. Anyway, the reason that my week is so hectic, by the way, if you ever put your micellar water in a little spray bottle like this, if it doesn't already come with a spray, it makes it last forever. I've had this for I don't know how long now. The reason the whole slow living thing is just not working out for me at all this week is that I have so many medical tests. As a former cancer patient and a cancer survivor, that's always stressful, even though there's nothing to be worried about. You know, these are just my annual checkup. I've been doing ECGs, blood tests, which are always difficult for me because they can never find my veins, ultrasounds. And so this week, it has not been good. It has not been a good week for me. Anyway, here's hoping I get to be outside tomorrow. We'll see you then. It is a bright new day. I have suffered the indignity of having my blood taken without coffee, without anything to keep me going. I had a fasting blood test, and I didn't get to have my first coffee until 11, and I woke up at 7, so if you've been there, you know what that's like. Where's my coffee? Actually, let me go get it. So I don't really feel qualified to give you a lot of tips on slow living because I'm kind of new to it too. And not only that, I think for a lot of people, it feels very natural. Oh darn, dropped a cherry tomato. I'm making a focaccia that I started from scratch. It's one of these no-knead dough recipes. I'm not one of these people for whom slow living comes naturally, and that's because I don't really identify as an introvert or a homebody. I am very much an outdoor cat. Like, I have not been outside today yet, really, other than going to get my tests done. Like, I have not enjoyed any nature or any outdoor time at all, and I'm not happy about that. I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. There's definitely, though, this strong idea that to be into slow living, to be able to fit it into your life, that you need to be an introvert. So for me, it's created this interesting tension, but not really one that I've ever dwelled on too much, because here's the thing, like, I never intentionally wanted to do this whole slow living thing. It kind of happened to me. Happened to me as a result of my career as a freelance writer kind of starting to dwindle. COVID was a catalyst when we were staying inside. My deciding not to go back to an office job, spending, my 20s and my 30s in offices. It wasn't burnout. It was just kind of a slow dwindling of my very hectic, borderline workaholic career. So interestingly, I'm not an introvert. Not really. Like, I'm a slight introvert. If I had to qualify myself, I'd say really I'm an ambivert, which is not a phrase. I mean, I didn't use that in the title or anywhere really, because it's not a phrase that people toss around. People love a binary construction where they're like, I'm an extrovert, I'm an introvert, but you can be both. Two things can be true. And that's definitely me. As much as I love not feeling rushed, I don't feel like I love being inside the house all the time. I'm out a lot. A week where I don't see my friends is a bad week. A week where I'm not around other people, likewise a bad week. Like I struggled during lockdowns, during COVID time to just be without my friends, not go out for lunches, not do things together. Like that was not an ideal life for me. I think I also just somewhat balk at the idea of being labeled. I don't know if it's because I'm a Gen X or it's just in my nature. I don't find it to be that helpful. Even the slow living thing, like I'm not sure that's an identity I can or want to take on. It's kind of more like YouTube identified it for me when I was doing some research. Isn't that funny? Like I thought it was making chill city vlogs, and that is something that deeply resonates, but that is not an easy to digest label that search engine optimization is going to understand. So here we are. You know, it's news to me too. Okay, I'm gonna leave the other half, I think, or sorry, it's a little less than half. I'm gonna leave this third plain because my son likes it plain. And then my husband and I like a bit of olive and tomato action. And then they're gonna let it rise a bit more. And then that's what's for lunch. This outfit is way too hot for the weather outside. I need to go and change into something cooler. Okay, the focaccia is stippled, it's salted. I've pushed the tomatoes back in so they don't pop out too much, and it's ready for the oven. Ooh, the garden is popping. Have a look here. These are my pansies that I have to water today. And then I've got some snow peas, I think. I can't remember what I planted. Some snow peas that are gonna have to attach to something. Everything out here is kind of heading toward its peak. This dill is struggling a bit though. This must be one of my neighbor's adorable cats. It's so cute. Hello. Hi. Hello. It's so funny that we spotted an outdoor cat because if anything, beyond slow living, beyond chill city vlogs, that is kind of how I identify. I am an outdoor cat. I think sometimes labels are actually just not that helpful. They're helpful to help people make a choice, like if they want to see a video or not. And as I was saying, YouTube really wants me to use the term slow living. I don't know if I'll keep using the term slow living, even though that is definitely what the algorithm wants me to do. Something in my brain just resists. It just go into resistance mode when I hear that. Ah, so nice out. If you like this dress, it actually is a gift from my friend Jen. It is the absolute antithesis of fast fashion. So she got it from Etsy. I believe it's handmade in Europe, 100% linen. I'll put a link, but be warned, it's not fast fashion prices, and it's just perfect for this weather. It almost is giving like Japanese mom vlogger or Korean mom vlogger, and I mean that in the best possible way, and if you know, you know. So while I definitely don't feel qualified to give you any slow living tips, just like as compared to other people who make dedicated videos whose whole channels are devoted to slow living, I think one thing I can do really is speak to the idea of what it's like as an ambivert, someone who's not really introverted, not really extroverted, and some tips about how that's going for me. And if there's anything I think applicable to your life, if you kind of like, you want to slow down, but you think I'm gonna be bored. So let's talk about that. Okay, I'm gonna sit over by my peonies. It's actually, although a sunny day, also an overcast day. I think we're getting haze from wildfires, which I feel like is the story every summer. But anyway, I think I can safely take this off now. So is slow living boring? The honest answer is, for me, yes, it is. As someone who's had a pretty on-the-go life and doesn't love being inside, there are definitely boring elements to it. And I don't think that that's always a bad thing. I think that getting that taste of boredom really led me to developing an art practice, learning how to watercolor, learning how to embroider. And then that was a stepping stone for meeting new people, which is something that I wanted to do, or like having a group of people to kind of keep me accountable in the work that I'm doing, especially the embroidery. You know, I've got a crafting group that I go to on Monday, and I'm joining one on Thursdays now as well. But if you're someone who's kind of like not identifying fully as an introvert, you know that you like to see people, and maybe you're not full extrovert, maybe you're kind of on the fence, or you're like considering a move or considering, I don't know, changing jobs. I think the one key thing you've got to remember is like, you don't want to be isolated. I think that that will be eventually harmful to you. And I've seen people who are motivated outwardly by the outside world, they move to the country and then they move back because it's just not what they expected. They only took the idyllic parts of it and they didn't remember that, well, that's fine and good, but then you've got to build a new community for yourself, and you might also feel quite isolated and quite lonely. So you don't want that for yourself. So that would be like I think my one big piece of advice for slow living, for people that are not identifying as introverts but are kind of interested in the slow living life. There's all these other places you can slow down, but I think that's probably a key personality trait. And if you don't feed that little animal, you won't be that successful at it. That's my takeaway after having done this for quite a while now. All right, all done now. I overbrowned it a bit, but you know what? That's gonna still taste good. So the irony is entirely not lost on me that I've been talking this big talk about being someone who loves to be outdoors, out with her friends, and that I have basically not left the comfort of my home so far in this video, but I am just trying to squeeze this in among the multiple things that I have to get done, not least of which is still carrying on with my chores, including hanging up this laundry. Now, I've always had a laundry line, and that is not just to save money, not just because it's nice to hang your clothes outside and have them smell of the sun and all of that. I just like doing it. I've always liked doing it. I just find it very relaxing, and it forces me to go outside for a little bit, get some sun. And like that's the main reason, even though it's terribly out of fashion in North America. Like I think the only person I know that has a clothesline, like an old school clothesline, but it's very simple. I wouldn't do it if I didn't enjoy it. These are my new linen pajamas from the Gap, and I did accidentally put them in the dryer. And oh my goodness, what a mistake that was. They shrunk to child size. But what I quickly did was just soak them again and let them basically drip dry. And then they drip dried back into a normal size, because that was upsetting. I should have known that about linen though. It does tend to shrink. They were a bit slightly scratchy at first, not full on itchy, but there was definitely a scratchy feel to them. And I'm glad to report that that is gone now. So yeah, if I didn't squeeze this time, actually let me close this because I don't want all that hot air going inside. If I didn't come on now to do this video, I wouldn't have had time this week because it's been a lot of sitting in my chair upstairs and working. So yes, slow living it is, but I do still work. Now, if you've made it to this far in the video, well, I think you know what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you if you wouldn't mind liking to do that and to leave me a comment of some sort. Anything is fine, even just a hello. These signals really help show YouTube that people like this video. And is it cringy to keep asking for them? Well, it is. But on the other hand, if I don't ask, you don't get. The pants are up, and let me show you my little hack for when you have something that, you know, theoretically could be ironed, but there's no world in which I'm going to iron my pajamas. Like, I like slow living, but I do not like it that much. I certainly do not want to be ironing. I just clip it. I just clip it in the places that I want to form it, and it will dry perfectly like that. Otherwise, this would be all curled and maybe even wrinkled up, being also that it is linen. Something about whites hanging on a line is just so immensely gratifying. This here is my food grade dishcloth. So everybody in the house knows that this hand towel, sorry, not dishcloth or tea towel, is just for like lettuce or vegetables and stuff like that. It doesn't get used for hands. It's also just a very flat cotton. It doesn't have any loose fibers. So that is important to me as well, because, you know, you're eating food, so you don't want to eat the fiber from your tea towel. I just love looking at these things swaying in the breeze. It's really just a simple joy. It's very hot for us anyway in Toronto, 30 degrees Celsius plus humidity factor, which makes it feel like 35. So everybody is rushing about. One great thing for me about living in the city is that I actually have a need for a lot of stimulation, despite someone who kind of enjoys the relaxed life. And so the city kind of gives it to me without me having to do too much to earn it. There's just always something going on, which my brain likes. So we're here at the Salvation Army because I'm looking for some fabric for my next embroidery project. And I don't like to buy new. I always like to get like an older cotton napkin or something like that. There's often just lots of brand new fabric here. I'm not finding what I'm looking for, unfortunately. Wait, maybe this is it. No. Also no. The other stuff I always like to look for is housewares. This is very cute. It's from Indigo, and the original price is probably something like 20, because I think these are still for sale there. And I think this one is from Anthropology. No luck, unfortunately, and it's very breezy out, leading me to believe that maybe it's going to rain. But anyway, I always like to stop and look at these. Aren't they pretty? Let me flip you around so you can get a closer look. I love this. They're, I think, wild roses. Definitely some sort of rose, because there's a thorn in there. Gorgeous. Isn't nature amazing? Like, we're in the middle of a city. This is the parking lot of a McDonald's, basically. And here are these beautiful roses, just moving in the wind. So did you know that if you have an iPhone, it can identify planets for you? I don't know if you've tried this feature. What you do is you take a photograph of it and then you press the little button. I'll show you. I'll get a little example going for you. So when you pass by something beautiful like this and you're not sure what kind of plant it is, just look it up if you have an iPhone. I have now switched into my eyeglasses because my eyes are getting very dry very early because of allergies. So now I want to address the greater question that this video was kind of hoping to talk about, which is the role of slow living in your life if you're not an introvert. I mean, no one's asking my opinion, but I don't know that labeling yourself introvert or extrovert or whatever is even all that helpful at the end of the day. Although I do not identify as a straight up extrovert, I don't think that just because you're extroverted, it means that slow living is not for you. Like, people who are extroverts are not necessarily also very high energy people. Maybe they're just people who have a high drive for being sociable and spending time with other people, and they don't like to be alone, and their social battery is very high. But it doesn't mean necessarily they're like the Energizer bunny. It doesn't mean they're someone who wants to work, I don't know, 60 plus hours a week. These things I think are sort of separate from each other. But like I said, I'm not really qualified to give tips on who should do it, who should not do it. Exactly what you need to do if you want to follow the principles of slow living. And the interesting thing about slow living is, unlike slow food, it wasn't grounded in like a protest movement, which is what we talked about at the beginning of this video, how slow food was originally sort of a protest against the McDonald's that was coming to Rome. There's no money really to be made from talking about slow living. I mean, you see vloggers and YouTubers do it, but you know, it's not like productivity culture where people are promising that you'll make $1 million if you follow this system or buy their course. This whole notion kind of reminds me of when I was interested in intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is just about following the signals of your body rather than following a diet, but there's not really much to sell in intuitive eating. There aren't cookbooks or anything like that for it, or you know, special foods. So slow living is a little bit like that, in that it's just not the most commercial idea, which I think is what kind of makes it appealing for people. So if you don't know anything about me, I realize we've gotten this deep into the video and I have not said very much about myself. I've been documenting over the better part of a year now my journey into art. I'm documenting a slowing down of my other career and really leading into learning how to be a visual artist, at least as a part-time endeavor. And so that's how I got here. That's how I got to this slow living of it all. It was never intentional. This is never where I expected to be. But as I was typing in some search terms, it was like giving me results of other videos that were all about slow living, people who do art, people that are trying to live a relaxing life, even if it's in the city. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. I guess that's me too. So I have made some other videos if you're new here and you haven't seen any of those. One of them is called I Accidentally Started Slow Living. And the other more recent one was about city living, minimalism, and slow life and how they work together or how they don't work together. Down below in the description box, I'll link up some other high-ranking videos that really get into the granular details about what slow living is. But most of all, I just wanted to spend a bit of time with you guys today and carve out a bit of my own slow living in a really fast-paced week for me that I am stressed about, to be honest. So I have one more medical test on Friday, so fingers crossed that goes well. By the time this video is out, it'll be in the past, so that's good. But this is something that I really wanted to make for myself, because in making this video, it helps me sort through my own thoughts about what it's like to not really be an introvert, but also be immersed in this world of slowing down, slow-paced life. I don't feel like I'm a guru in this field. I don't even feel like this whole slow living thing is the only way I ever want to live. It's just where I am right now. So that has been definitely interesting. So in terms of resources, of course, I'm big into book reading, and so I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention a writer who has really caught the attention of the slow living world, and that is MIT computer science professor Cal Newport. He does podcasts. The podcast is called, I think, Deep Questions, but he's got a number of books about, well, really slowing down, to be honest. One of them is called Slow Productivity. That was his most recent one, but I own all his books. There's one about digital detoxing. He's got another one about deep work, which has been really useful to me because there are times when, as a creative, you really do need to work deeply. When you're writing, you can't just be distracted all the time. You need to figure out how to make chunks of time work for you. So that's a really good resource. So just in general, yeah, he's got the free podcast, but he's got the books. I encourage you to read them if they sound interesting at all. But in general, I'm not a big slow living acolyte. Like, I don't follow other YouTubers that are slow living YouTubers. Like I said, this whole thing has kind of caught me by surprise. But being that my background is lifestyle journalism, it has been fun for me also to learn about it and to figure out a way to share it in a way that you'll understand, that is hopefully easy to digest and understandable. All right, thank you for spending your precious time here with me. I never ever will take for granted those of you who watch to the end of the video. I'm so grateful for you. When you vlog, it is wildly intense. It's a wildly intense experience. I mean, it looks like you're just floating on the water like a duck, but like your feet are paddling underneath because there's just a lot of footage to edit. You're trying to keep your storylines consistent throughout. You're trying to maybe deliver a message or deliver a vibe. There's a lot that goes into them, but I am happy to make them for you. That is not a complaint. That is just, I'm just saying that they are labor intensive, but it is a labor of love. If you've watched to this point, thank you so much. If you're new here and you like the vibes, please do consider subscribing. And with that said, we'll see you in the next video. And I just heard thunder. Bye.